let us move along. So we'll go from that somewhat depressing story to another very depressing story, a more painful one than depressing one. So you may have heard a couple weeks ago, Devin Powell, who's a UFC fighter, came to the UFC via the Dana White Looking for a Fight show. He is 8-3 as a professional. He is currently 0-2 in the UFC. He lost his debut to Drakkar Klose and then Daryl Horcher in June. So he fought in January and June of 2017. You may have heard that he is a training partner of one Joe Lauzon. And you also may have heard that around 3 or 4 weeks ago, he was training with Joe Lauzon, and he got a knee to the midsection, and he suffered a ruptured testicle injury and had to be rushed to the hospital and seemed to be taking this pretty well, seemed to be in great spirits, was even joking about it on his Instagram and Twitter, and did some interviews, and had tagged me in a couple of tweets here or there, had said that he wanted to come on and tell his story. I am someone who is squeamish when it comes to these things, not just ruptured testicle injuries, but all kinds of injuries, all kinds of sicknesses. I don't handle them very well. But I felt like, you know what? Here's a guy who ruptured his testicle, and it's almost like I can't stop saying it. He deserves a chance to tell his story. He seems to be handling it well, seems to be in good spirits, perhaps an inspiration, some kind of motivation, some kind of role model for people who may go through the same thing, although I've never met someone who has been through the same thing. You know what? Let's have the young man on the program to talk about the injury and, more importantly, how one overcomes such an injury, how one recovers from such an injury. In fact, I saw on his Instagram that shortly after, which is just, my son, my middle son, Walter, I just put him in basketball, and he was doing like some kind of running drill, and he wasn't looking where he was running, and he bumped heads with another kid. He was going one way, the other kid was going another way. They bumped heads, and he got a bit of a black eye, and he has vowed to never play basketball ever again because of this. He says, I will never go to basketball. I'm never playing basketball. Basketball is stupid. I hate basketball. It gave me a boo-boo. I want nothing to do with this sport, which breaks my heart as a basketball fan. And why am I telling you this story? I'm telling you this story because a mere days after being released from the hospital, Devin Powell, according to his Instagram, was back at the gym training. So here's a 3-year-old kid, bumps his head, says, you know what, I'm never doing this activity again. Here's a, I don't know, how old is Devin Powell? Can't get his age here, but a not very old man, but a little bit older, ruptures his testicle, says, hey, let's go back to the gym and keep doing what we're doing. That is unbelievable to me. Let's go to the Skype machine and say hello to one Devin Powell and hear about his story. There he is. Devin, how are you, my friend?
I'm well, yourself.
I'm doing great. It's great to talk to you. It's great to have you on the program. So I just gave people the backstory in case they didn't know. Are you okay, before we get into the story, because I want to know the story in great detail, are you okay with this newfound fame, with being the guy who's, overcoming this horrible injury? Is that okay with you?
Yeah, totally. I mean, we'll get all into it, I'm sure, but I was the whole reason it happened. I could have been quiet about the situation, but I just kind of brought a little levity to the unfortunate situation, and it brought me a lot of publicity, which it'd be a lot better to have that than none and still be there with a broken testicle. So
Sure. Oh my, even you saying that makes me feel very weak. Okay, so let's go back to the day. What day did this happen on? Do you remember the date?
it was about 1 month ago on a Monday.
Okay, so around a month
maybe
ago. Okay, February 12th, perhaps. What are you doing? Tell us what you're doing. Set the scene for us.
So every Monday we travel down to train with Joe Lauzon, me, some teammates, and we go there for a no-gi jiu-jitsu class and a kickboxing class with this guy Jimmy, and Joe teaches the no-gi. So we do that, and then we go do a little bit of live rolling. And during the live rolling, me and Joe Lozon were training. He was trying to pass my guard, and he decided that his best bet would be to just bring his knee up and straight down and rupture my testicle.
Oh, come on.
So he was trying to pass guard and he tried to knee cut. So he just thought it'd be cooler to blow up my testicle instead of pass my guard.
Why do you have to put it like that? You don't have
sure
to.
If he kept going, he would have passed my guard.
Okay. And this is something that you've done a million times, right? I mean, you're a professional. This is pretty routine for you.
Yeah, I mean, aside from the exploding testicle part, it was definitely a freak accident. A very normal jiu-jitsu situation from half guard. The leg comes up and tries to cut through to pass. He kind of went up and tried to go straight through, but it's kind of like the testicle was sandwiched against the pelvic bone, and the knee came and just crushed it.
Stop it. What is wrong with you?
No moss.
Are you Were you wearing a cup?
I wasn't. So Diamond MMA,
yes.
I've always worn their cup in fights, and it's the best on the market. So, and they've actually reached out to me, and they're really good to me. But I usually never do during grappling. And if this can be anything to help some young and old people decide to wear a cup during grappling, this I hope will help, because this is something that can happen, not just kickboxing. It can happen in jiu-jitsu, and surprised it doesn't happen more often, because it was a freak accident that made total sense with what we were doing. So
safe to say that you will always wear a cup now when you're rolling, right?
Right. When I'm rolling, when I'm eating cereal, when I'm going to bed, anything.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a good idea. So when it connects and the injury initially occurs, can you describe that feeling?
I can try.
Okay.
The impact happened, and there's actually TMZ did like a little article, and they released the audio because two of Joe's teammates were rolling, and they filmed it, and you could hear the audio of me yelling in the background. They both looked up, like, "What the hell was that?" But he hit me, and I was like in gasps. I was trying to like explain what was going on to him. I was like, "Oh, that has never happened. 10 years." And it was so sensational. I thought that what happened.
Yes.
But
you thought so.
So sensational.
You could feel it.
But
you
I
knew.
also thought that it's just such a sensitive area that anytime you get hit there, you kind of think that you must have done something really serious, and then a couple hours later you're okay. But this one, the pain lingered, man. And I basically like went to take a shower. I tried laying on the mat for like 30 minutes and just wasn't feeling any better. I had to like hold myself up to take the shower because I couldn't let myself not be supported. So it was like one-handed shower. And then shout out to Nick Newell, because he's hopefully in the UFC next, and he's on this. I don't know if he was already on yet, but
great shout out. That was good.
He's a friend. I like him a lot. But yeah, so I took a shower, and then I went back out, and I was just like, all right, we got to go to the hospital, I think, because I felt it. In my first mindset was, when I go out back, feel it. If it feels normal, maybe you can go train again a little bit, because you drive 2 hours to get there each day. So I felt it, and it felt like it had a unicorn horn poking out. So
stop it.
That's
stop
not
it.
Right.
Stop it. What are you talking? Could you please? Oh my God. I feel like I'm going to faint. I feel so lightheaded right now. This is horrible. Really? You felt a unicorn horn sticking out?
Yeah.
That is horrible. Was it leaking? It wasn't leaking, was it?
It was leaking on the inside.
Oh, but it was. Okay, but, keep going.
So I decided that it's probably good to be go seen. So we went to like a walk-in clinic, and the amazing thing with the UFC, and for whatever reason this time it didn't work out too well, but if you have a training-related injury after a deductible, which is just any insurance, you can deal with a deductible, but after that's met, you can hear my awesome dogs in the background.
Yeah.
After met, you need to then they'll take care of it. But this place shooed me away. They're like, you don't have a traditional insurance, so you got to kick rocks, buddy. So I was like, oh, F me. So I went and got a couple of good old stiff adult drinks and tried to sleep it off for a day and a half.
What?
And everybody's messages accumulated. They're all like, dude, you got to go be seen. I was like, all right, I'm going to limp down from my attic bed and go be seen. And then I went to to another walk-in clinic closer to home.
Wait a second. Can you pause for a second? What does your attic bed have to do with anything? I missed that part. What does that mean?
Well, it's a ladder straight up and down, so it wasn't easy to navigate up and down in this situation. So.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's like a firefighter. So I limped my way down, went to the walk-in clinic, waited for like an hour and a half before they brought me in to get an ultrasound. And then when I was waiting to get the ultrasound, the lady's sitting there complaining like, I'm not even supposed to be here. I'm hungry and I don't want to take it on you. I'm just holding myself there like, lady, please just do this. And then finally she's like, all right, let's get this over with. And then she didn't know how to work her mouse. So somebody else had to be called in to change the batteries in the mouse. Finally, they did the imaging, which was excruciating, having that metal rod being rolled over my injury. That was maybe one of the worst parts of it because it was probably like 5 to 10 minutes of her doing that. And then they brought me back to the other room, waited for like another 40 minutes to an hour. And then they came in, they're like, hey, what have you had to eat or drink today? It's like, I'm going into surgery, aren't I?
Oh my God.
So they're like, yeah, we called the emergency surgeon or whatnot, and he's driving in now. I was like, I hope he hasn't had any red wine. But then he started driving in, and they're like, we're going to bring you by ambulance to get the surgery to the actual hospital. And right when they said that, I was like, quick, get me my UFC hoodie with my name on it. I'm going to take a picture with the ambulatory staff, and I'm going to post it. So I made that post when I just finally got medicated, about to be taken out in the stretcher. And,
why are you thinking about that?
It ended up blowing up.
Why?
What was I thinking about that?
No, why were you thinking about that at that moment? I'd be freaking out. I'd be on the verge of I don't know what, suicide at that point. I don't know. I mean, that sounds like the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. This is the worst injury I've ever heard in my entire life. No questions. I can't even imagine. And the fact that you waited 2 days. You waited 2 days to get a check. How did you do that? How did you function? How are you not in the worst amount of pain possible?
I mean, alcohol helped a little bit. I was in a tremendous amount of pain. But I tried to wait it out to see if it would get better, and it wasn't. And then again, everybody was saying that I should be seen. So finally listened. But the actual injury, it doesn't sound like you actually want to hear like what the real issue.
I feel like I have to, journalistically, I feel like it would be poor form on my part to not ask. So please, just go ahead. I mean, forget about me at this point.
Kill the audio on your headphones.
Yeah, I'm just gonna
and study it after. Yeah.
No, go ahead. What was it?
When the impact happened, there's basically like the sack, and then there's the two balls in there that have their own little sack or big sack, and one of them got smashed, and most of the contents on the testicle itself exploded to the outside. Ugh. So they basically had to take all the contents, stuff it back inside of its sack, stitch it shut, and then they had to super glue the sack on the outside shut, and that looks like a full-on Frankenstein project. And then the ball itself, the stitches stay in forever. So if I didn't have the surgery, I'd think I had cancer because it's this huge lump of stitches. So that was it. And the fun part, I didn't know this until I went to my follow-up a week later. They had to cut some of it out because they couldn't fit it back in because of inflammation. So that was cool.
And now it looks like as you just described, or has it healed up?
The outside, the scar is probably like 4 inches long. It's like they almost cut my sack off the yeah, it's pretty bad, but luckily nobody has to really look at that all the time.
Right. And do you have a car? Is that a baby car seat in back there? Do you have kids?
Yeah. So I got a kid. I got a wife. I got two dogs in the back. So yeah.
If you want kids, will this affect you?
So what the doctor told me at this point, basically, like you could have just one and you should be able to function fine. Because the other one's supposed to take over for testosterone and like any like child production kind of deal. But I'm gonna get tested in another 2 months. They're gonna check me and see if I need to be like TRT detour style or something.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
I think I'll be fine. We'll see though. But I think if there ever was somebody that could potentially need the like a TUE, I think this is the kind of injury that they might be talking about. But
Yes,
I hope everything's. I'm back to training. I was back to training after a week, like teaching classes. Actually, 5 days later, I was teaching classes, just not jiu-jitsu. But with the cup on, the Diamond Cup, I'm doing live wrestling, jiu-jitsu, sparring, everything. But just still being safe, never going without a cup again.
Yeah. Are you affected like day to day? Do you feel the pain? Like how does it feel like when you're walking around, when you're running, when you're doing things like that?
Actually, without the cup, it's a lot more painful. Like the more support, the better. Like if I just wear like compression shorts and I'm like bouncing around shadowboxing, it's painful a little bit. So the more compression, the better. I still have pain like in my stomach because I guess the tubes go all the way up there. And then the scar itself is very painful to the touch. I feel like a very adult version of Harry Potter. But
I don't know what that means. I'm not familiar with Harry Potter, but it sounds
his scar
horrible.
hurts in his forehead.
Oh, okay. Now you said your wife is there with you right now, right?
Yeah.
Can I ask her a question?
Yeah.
Hello, what's your name?
I'm Carolyn.
Carolyn, pleasure to meet you. How do you feel about this injury and your husband's decision to continue essentially doing what caused the injury?
I mean, I don't know. We don't really know much else. I don't know what we would do. You know, we pretty much we left the hospital on a Wednesday and went right into the gym because we hadn't been there for 3 days, and you know, we own the place, so we don't really have a choice. You know, it's been a very long, interesting month and a half since this has happened. But I mean, it got his name out there again, and you know, it's not the most glamorous sort of stuff to be talking about. I've never talked about testicles more in my entire life than I have since February 12th. I don't even know if I ever tried to say that word because it just puts a gross feeling in my mouth.
Yes.
Yeah, Devin said that's what she said.
Yes.
But we've been watching a lot of The Office lately, so
yeah.
Yeah, it's been a really crazy situation. I was there, you know, I was at Lausanne's. I was training in the other room when it happened, and pretty much, yeah, Joe was like, "I just broke your husband," and I was like, "Oh, he's fine. Like, it's not a big deal. It happens, you know." And then didn't really realize the extent of it, and yeah, it was.
Why didn't you urge him to? Why didn't you urge him to go sooner?
I mean, we left Lausanne's and went right to a gym, or not a gym, a hospital, and you know, they turned us away. So I was just like, what do you want to do? You know, I'm driving, so whatever you want me to do, I'll do. You know, we can go to the hospital, we can go get drunk, like whichever you want to do, we'll do. And so yeah, I think he just wanted to be like, well, I'm just kind of being a baby, you know, like I'll be fine, and it was not fine. You know, he talked to so many people, and there was not a single person that said don't go to the hospital, and it finally just, you know, accumulated, and yeah, so he finally went, but it was so strange. I've never felt anything like that. It was just like there was like 3 of them crammed in there.
Oh my gosh, that is horrible.
Obviously, he's like, "Oh, you got to feel this." Like no one.
Oh, why?
Get in there.
I mean, part of it
please.
really was like I've only fought twice in the UFC, and I lost 2 decisions, and it sucks. And like, we're professional athletes, but it's not like we make $1 million. Some of us do, and those guys are great for the sport because they're bringing more eyes and they deserve the money they make. But I already have a lot of hospital bills, and I know the first $1,500, if this wasn't anything serious, I have to cover out of pocket. So I was like, if I can wait it out, and they're gonna tell me you need a lot of ice and ibuprofen, then you know, so be it. But yeah, that it was extremely serious. So
it's being covered.
UFC's insurance. It will be after I pay the first $1,500 because again, like any other insurance policy, you gotta deal with the deductible.
Yeah,
But the UFC is great with that stuff. She talked me through all the steps with the injury and all that. So yeah.
Any reservations about continuing to be a fighter? Like, has this changed your opinion, your stance on your career choice at all?
No, it hasn't. I mean, it was like my first fight in the UFC, I broke my eye socket, and no matter what, you get elbowed in the face, that can happen. If I wore a cup, everything could have been changed in this. It was a huge mistake that was, I guess, 10 years in the making. Sucks for anybody. And again, I hope people decide to wear that cup and protect themselves. But this is just something that I think that I'm going to make a full recovery. I'm feeling pretty close. I can roll hard. A few things hurt. But yeah, I love martial arts. I own my own academy, No Sos MMA, and I teach every day, youth and adult. And it's I left a horrible job at a passport center where every day I went in and I was unhappy. Now I get to do what I love for a living, and I'll take any injury and keep going forward after it because it's not, there's nothing else that I want to do with my life. So this is what I'm doing.
Realistically,
the wheels fall off.
When do you think you could return realistically?
So, I mean, I'm the kind of person that just goes with the flow. Like, the guy that was helping me with management, he messaged me a couple days ago, and I think this is fine to say because it made sense that he didn't fight me, but he was like, hey, will you fight Evan Dunham in 4 weeks? It's like, I just had surgery, but yeah, let's do it. And then he took a fight that made more sense. He took Mercier. But we put our name in the hat, so they know. Like, the same thing happened. I was asked to fight Marcin Held on 3 weeks' notice. I said yes, and then they found someone else 5 days later for him.
Jeez.
So it's just whenever they say go, I'll go. I train 6 days a week, no matter what. I'm in my gym that I teach and train at. I don't take big breaks because I can't. This is what I do for a living. I don't have another job. I work.
But your doctor must have said, please don't do this, right? For a few months, right?
Yeah, maybe. No, he said, he told me after my first week checkup, he's like, 1 more week, you can start easing into strength and conditioning. A month from now, you can introduce contact. I would think he meant like, don't go and just get kicked in the balls. But if it were to accidentally happen, you're wearing your cup, you should be like strong enough to not like have a re-rupturing.
Yeah. Jay. Well, I must say, all kind of comments aside, the way you've handled this, I mean, just turning this negative into a positive and getting out there. I know you were on the Jim Rome show, TMZ, covering all that stuff. And I've seen you tweet me, but honestly, I'm just like very squeamish when it comes to this stuff. So it's not that I didn't want to talk to you. It was just I didn't think that I would handle it well, and I don't think that I handled it well today. So, but I give you props for the way you've handled this. You've really taken a negative into a positive. So, like, kudos to you, man. Really, I can never complain about any injury that I've ever received after hearing the way you've handled this. Well done.
Thank you so much. It was an honor being on the show too. It was very cool, even in these circumstances.
Yeah,
super happy to do it.
Next time we'll talk about your first UFC win. That will be a lot more enjoyable for, I think, both of us, for everyone involved. But I wish you the best, Devin. All the best to you and your lovely wife, your dog. You have a boy or a girl?
Little girl, little baby Clementine. She's
awesome.
6, but still my baby.
Does she know about this? She doesn't know about this, right? You didn't tell her, right?
Oh, she knows. She even visited me in the hospital before surgery.
Oh, gosh. So, yeah, 6 years old.
Knows all about it. Probably tells all her friends.
Yeah, I'm sure the parents love it. All the best to you, Devin. Get well soon. I hope you have a very speedy recovery, and looking forward to seeing you back in there and getting that first UFC win. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you very much. You take care.
All right. There he is, Devin Powell, stopping by, telling us about, without a doubt, the most gruesome injury that I've ever heard in any walk of life, let alone mixed martial arts. But, hey, you got to give the guy a lot of credit for the way he's handling this and getting all that attention and turning that negative into a positive. Wow. That is just, I can't feel like, basically from here down, I can't feel